I went through every Pokedex entry in Pokemon Legends ZA and tracked down all the new ones that I thought were crazy, funny, confusing, disturbing, illogical, or just generally worthy of note. Here's what I found. But be warned, this video will contain extensive spoilers, both for new Mega Evolutions and the story of the game. Mega Meganium's entry reads, this Pokemon can fire a tremendously powerful solar beam from its 4 flowers. Another name for this is Mega Soul Cannon. Okay. Why? Like, why did Mega Meganium's solar beam specifically get another name? Is it just so they could force us to say, Mega Meganium Mega Soul Cannon? Mega Embor's dex entry reads, brandishing a blazing flame shaped like a serpentine spear, it rushes in to rescue its imperiled allies. When I first saw Mega Embor, I knew the spear had to be a specific reference to something, and I was right. Quoting from Bulbapedia, Ken Sugimori has said that Tepig, Pignite, and Embor were designed in a Chinese style, specifically mentioning the character of Zhang Fei from Romance of the Three Kingdoms as Embor's inspiration. Zhang Fei was assassinated by his own subordinates and had his head severed and presented for the opposing faction, which may be alluded to in Embor's design as its head is separated from its body by a wreath of fire. Oh, yeesh. Well, anyways, Bulbapedia continues. Mega Embor seems to emphasize the aforementioned inspiration from Zhang Fei, as he was said to own a 1.8 zhang long serpent spear, a weapon similar to the one Embor obtains upon Mega Evolving. Wanted to call this out? It's a pretty interesting backstory for why Embor now has a stick. Roserade's entry reads, it lures prey in with a sweet scent, then finishes them off with the poisonous whips on its arms, either by constricting the prey or skewering them. Roserade has many dex entries detailing how it uses its poisonous and thorned whips to kill prey, but this is the first to specifically use the word skewer, which is both graphic and impressive. It's not often you see a flexible whip stab through something. Mega Barbaricle's dex entry reads, it uses its many arms to toy with its opponents. This keeps the head extremely busy. This just kind of tickles me. Regular Barbaricle's dex entries discuss how the different limbs are all independent, but that the head is in charge. But then when it gets even more arms, it gets more difficult to manage them all, so essentially, Mega Barbaricle is herding cats. Mega Stormy's entry reads, its movements have become more human-like. Whether it's simply trying to communicate or wants to supplant humanity is unclear. I was not expecting such an incredibly goofy Pokemon to have such an ominous dex entry. Mega Eternal Flower Floet's entry reads, the Eternal Flower has absorbed all the energy from Mega Evolution. The flower now attacks enemies on its own. Oh, it does? Really? I had no idea! Floet! Mega Pyroar's dex entry reads, this Pokemon spews flames hotter than 18,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It swings around its grand blazing mane as it protects its allies. This now ties 2 other Pokemon for the hottest temperature created by a Pokemon. While most specific temperatures in dex entries will be under 6,000 degrees Fahrenheit, normal Pyroar's flames could actually break 10,000. About as hot as the surface of the sun. But then there's a huge jump to Macargo's body temperature and the magma within Camerup's body, both of which are 18,000 degrees Fahrenheit or 10,000 degrees Celsius. This means we now have a 3-way tie for the highest temperature Pokemon, although Mega Pyroar got there with flames, not magma. So I need a physicist to tell me which one of those is more impressive. Mega Clefable's dex entry reads, it flies by using the power of moonlight to control gravity within a radius of over 32 feet around it. So this seems to be how it's flying, considering I don't really see its wings flapping very much. But also, control gravity? That is so OP. Why is it using Moonblast when it could just make the opponent so heavy that all its bones break? Mega Scolopede's entry reads, its deadly venom gives off a faint glow. The venom affects Scoliped's mind, honing its viciousness. I'd been curious as to why Mega Scolipede was Vaporwave, and bioluminescent venom is a pretty cool way to justify that. Mega Victreebel's entry reads, the volume of this Pokemon's acid has increased due to Mega Evolution, filling its mouth. If it's not careful, the acid will overflow and spill out. If you paid close attention during Mega Victreebel's release, then you already knew this. But if you missed it, Mega Victreebel looks like this because it's gotten so full of acid that it had to tie its own mouth shut. And I think that's super creative. And also kind of horrifying for Victreebel. The next entry is for Mega Medicham. And when starting to make this video, I initially thought that I wouldn't have any new dex entries for the older Megas. While Gen 6 did not provide dex entries for any Mega evolutions, Let's Go and the Alola games did. And since most ZA dex entries are copied from previous games, I assumed that would be true for all of the old Megas. For most, it is. But upon reading Mega Medichams, I realized that if a Pokemon was never in the Alola or Kanto regional dex, then its Mega never got a dex entry. Therefore, despite Mega Medicham being one of the original X and Y Megas, what I'm about to read to you is its first ever dex entry. Thanks to Mega Evolution, its mental power is limitless. It conjures up arms imbued with malice to defeat its enemies. Wait, what? The yoga-loving and enlightenment-seeking Pokemon wields cloth-like arms of malice? I expected that from a ghost type, but not you, Medicham. What happened? Too many days eating just one single berry, and now you wield the energy of angriness? Mega Gardevoir's first ever dex entry reads, when it opens the red plate on its chest and unleashes its heart, its strongest psychic power is released. Question, what does it mean by unleashes its heart? Is that referring to just like sharing its emotions? Or is the crest on its chest its literal heart that has escaped its body? It's probably just the emotions. But even just thinking about that being its literal heart makes me a little queasy. Mega Gallade's first ever dex entry reads, it gets power from the bond it has with its trainer. Mega Evolution has given it plates to slice its enemies and a cape to protect its body. First half of that, gets power from the bond with its trainer. Duh, that's what Mega Evolution is. And then the second half, a cape to protect its body? Did Mega Gallade not watch The Incredibles?
Knock it!
Mega Houndoom's entry reads, Houndoom's entire body generates heat when it Mega evolves. Its intense fiery breath turns its opponents to charcoal. Unlike the last few, this is not Mega Houndoom's first dex entry. In fact, this one is nearly identical to its Ultra Moon entry, but with one surprisingly important difference. Instead of charcoal, Ultra Moon says Mega Houndoom burns its opponents to ash. This change from ash to charcoal seems minor, but it's actually completely ridiculous. Ash in this case is not the retired anime protagonist. It is the dust left behind when something is totally burned up, whereas charcoal is formed when organic matter is heated in the absence of air. Because it still has carbon in it, we can use it as a fuel, like in grilling. Burning an opponent to ash makes perfect sense, but burning an opponent to charcoal simply does not. Charcoal is formed in the absence of air, but you can't have fire if there is air, and Houndoom is explicitly using its fiery breath. So to form charcoal, Mega Houndoom would have to place the enemy inside of an oxygen-starved container like a metal barrel and breathe fire on the exterior, like how WikiHow says to make charcoal. It's clearly not doing that. In short, this one-word alteration to a dex entry took it from boring to patently absurd. Mega Altaria's first ever dex entry reads, its down is so soft, it seems as if a touch could melt it. But it's strong enough that just a few strands could be used to hoist a dump truck. Well, it seems Kim Kardashian has found the material for her next underwear line. Mega Audino's first ever dex entry reads, Anyone who touches the secondary feelers that have sprouted from the base of its throat will fall into a deep sleep. This feels kind of random, but it also gives me a funny mental image. Like someone touches like Otterno's throat and it's like, how dare you? Hi-ya! Lopunny's dex entry is another one that is nearly identical to a previous one, but the slight change warrants attention. Its platinum entry reads, the ears appear to be delicate. If they are touched roughly, it kicks with its graceful legs. Meanwhile, its ZA dex entry reads, this Pokemon's ears are apparently very delicate. They must be handled gently and with care, or else Lopunny will kick you with its graceful legs. My God, significantly more threatening. Mega Electros's entry reads, it now generates 10 times the electricity it did before Mega Evolving. It discharges this electricity from its false electric, which are made of mucus. At first I thought the arms were like a ghostly energy, but nope, it's just goo, which is kind of gross.
Haha, it is I, Grunty Boy.
You seem extra chipper today.
Because I already have all of my holiday shopping done. Raycon, the sponsor of today's video, made it super easy. I just got everyone their bone conduction headphones. These headphones use off-ear audio to send sound through vibrations in your bones, allowing you to enjoy crystal clear music or podcasts while remaining aware of the world around you. I love them and use them on all my runs. Not only can I keep an ear on traffic, but they're IP68 water and dust proof to deal with sweat or rain. Plus, they have 13 hours of battery life.
Very impressive. Wait, are you running for 13 hours at a time?
Sometimes. No, just kidding, that'd be silly. Raycon gives you premium audio without the premium price tag. Over 3 million customers love Raycon, and with their 30-day happiness guarantee, you will too. And with Black Friday coming up, the deals are so good that you cannot miss them. Go to buyraycon.com/MandJTVBC or scan the QR code or click the link in the description to get up to 30% off on Raycon audio products site-wide. I already took advantage of them, of course. As I said, everyone on my list got a nice pair of these.
That's fantastic, but Grunty Boy, I already have a pair. Did you forget that, or am I not on your list?
You're on my list. It's just that my gift to you is my continued presence with Raycon sponsorships.
Oh. That's actually super good. Thanks.
You're welcome. Ta-ta!
Mega Dragonite's entry reads, Mega Evolution has excessively powered up this Pokemon's feelings of kindness. It finishes off its opponents with mercy in its heart. Like Victory Bell, some of you are already aware of this if you paid attention during Mega Dragonite's reveal, but in case you missed it, let me read a blurb to you from Pokemon.com that restates this dex entry in more explicit terms. For Mega Dragonite, ending a Pokemon match quickly is an act of kindness toward its opponent. Its kind-hearted nature gets amplified when it Mega Evolves, and it launches powerful attacks at its opponent with a smile. Yeah, somehow they managed to make a Pokemon getting nicer absolutely terrifying.
I care a lot about you. I'll make this quick.
Mega Malamar's entry reads, it uses its colorful lights to overwrite the personalities and memories of others, and to control them. Mind control and Malamar's mind control has always been creepy, but like, saying it's overwriting personalities and memories takes it to a whole nother level of disturbing. Mega Dragalge's dex entry reads, it spits a liquid that causes the regenerative power of cells to run wild. The liquid is deadly poison to everything other than itself. Yeah, so Mega Dragalge gives you cancer. I am not kidding. The fundamental abnormality resulting in the development of cancer is the continual unregulated proliferation of cancer cells. Rather than responding appropriately to the signals that control normal cell behavior, cancer cells grow and divide in an uncontrolled manner, invading normal tissues and organs and eventually spreading throughout the body. The regenerative power of cells running wild refers to cells duplicating excessively, which is of course what happens with cancer. I am in shock that they wrote this dex entry, and honestly, it would have been less disturbing if they just said the liquid melted your face off. Next are the entries for Hisuian Sliggoo and Hisuian Goodra. While some regional variants are available in Lumiose, Sliggoo and Goodra are not at the time of making this video. However, they still have dex entries hidden within the code of the game, which was not the case in Scarlet and Violet. Therefore, these are their second ever dex entries after Legends Arceus. Hisuian Sliggoo's entry reads, "The iron in Sliggoo's drinking water turned its shell metallic. The Pokemon doesn't come out of its shell on sunny days." In the Legends Arceus entry, Professor Laventon suspected the iron in the drinking water was the reason for the shell, but now that is regarded as fact. Additionally, I just think it's kind of cute that it doesn't come out of its shell on sunny days. It's a true gamer. Then Hisuian Goodra's entry reads, "If anything bad happens to it, Goodra retreats into its shell and bounces around like a rubber ball, knocking down trees and boring into mountains." This is hilarious. It's terrifying, but it is funny to think about. Mega Frostlass's entry reads, "This Pokemon can use eerie cold air imbued with ghost energy to freeze even insubstantial things, such as flames or the wind." What? How is that even? You know what? I shouldn't have given Mega Houndoom so much crap for the charcoal thing. Although ghost energy is a loose enough term that you can kind of justify it, whereas like charcoal is an extremely specific term and thing that Mega Abomasnow's first ever dex entry reads, "The buds on its back have sprouted into impressive icicles that can whip up massive blizzards of -22 degrees Fahrenheit." Two weird things about this. The first one, the buds sprouted into icicles? That is not usually how either of those things work. And then secondly, in the same city as Mega Pyroar blasting flames almost twice as hot as the surface of the sun, the blizzards are just -22 degrees Fahrenheit? Like, don't get me wrong, that's cold, but it's normal cold. Vostok Station in Antarctica is colder than that year-round, and holds the record for the coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth, -128 Fahrenheit. Mega Abomasnow is then made even more underwhelming when you look at a dex entry for another ice-type Pokemon that you can get in the same city that isn't even a Mega. Many of Aurorus's dex entries, including its ZA one, say the diamond-shaped crystals on its body expel air as cold as -240 degrees Fahrenheit, surrounding its enemies and encasing them in ice. Regice gets even colder, down to -328 Fahrenheit. In short, Mega Abomasnow, man, what are you doing? You're a Mega Evolution, come on, up your absurdity. Hisuian Avalugg is another regional variant with a brand new dex entry in the code, even though it is currently unobtainable. Its entry reads, "With its icy jaw, it swiftly plows across snowy fields and mountains in search of nutritious vegetables that people have stored in the snow. Due to its sharp teeth, I expected it to be a carnivore, but that's wrong. It likes its veggies." Emolga is another Pokemon with a subtly changed dex entry. Its black version entry reads, "The energy made in its cheeks' electrical pouches is stored inside its membrane and released while it is gliding." The ZA entry is word for word the same, except they add the word patagial in front of membrane. This is a new word for me.
Patagium. Patagia.
Patagium? Not patagium? Good to know. Patagial means related to a patagium, and a patagium is the fold of skin connecting the forelimbs and hind limbs of some tetrapods, such as flying squirrels. Look at that! Pokemon teaching me a new science term, and hopefully you too. By the way, if you've watched this far into the video, you probably enjoy what I do, so the best way to see more of my stuff and tell YouTube to show it to you is to subscribe to the channel. It also helps me out a lot, so I appreciate it. Okay, thanks. Moving on. Mega Chandelore's entry reads, "One of its eyes is a window linking our world with the afterlife. This Pokemon draws in hatred and converts it into power." First off, drawing in hatred and converting it into power? Sounds like Mega Chandelore's about to win a major political office. But secondly, this dex entry points out the fact that Mega Chandelore only has one glowing eye, compared to two in its regular form. A subtle design choice that I think is interesting. It seems the glowing one is now the window into the afterlife, and I guess that takes a lot of energy. And you can't have two of them. What are you gonna do, two windows? Don't be ridiculous. Aerodactyl is another Pokemon with a subtly changed entry. Its Fire Red entry says it was regenerated from a dinosaur's genetic matter that was found in amber. It flies with high-pitched cries. ZA changed dinosaur to pterosaur. And the dinosaur nerd in me, who got the ultimate book of dinosaurs at age 6, is thrilled! Aerodactyl has always been inspired by pterosaurs. The dactyl in its name comes from pterodactyl. And pterosaurs are not dinosaurs. From Wikipedia, pterosaurs are often referred to by popular media or the general public as flying dinosaurs. But dinosaurs are defined as the descendants of the last common ancestor of the Saurischia and Ornithischia, which excludes the pterosaurs. Finally, 20 years later, they get the taxonomy correct. Mega Steelix's first ever dex entry says, to protect itself from opponents' attacks, it uses magnetism to control pieces of its hard outer shell that have flaked off. I always thought these orbiting pieces were really cool, and now I finally know that they're flakes of Steelix's shell, which I think is pretty interesting. Sure, it's not the most fascinating dex entry in this video, but I like Mega Steelix, so I wanted to include this. Mega Aggron's first ever dex entry says, energy from Mega Evolution has turned the iron inside this Pokemon into steel armor that covers Mega Aggron's whole body. Other dex entries discuss how Aggron eats iron, so this Mega Evolution is a literal example of you are what you eat. Next, I want to talk about Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist, and something interesting happened with them. They were renamed. Previously, their different sized forms were called small size, average size, large size, and super size. But in Legends ZA, they're now small variety, medium variety instead of average, large variety, and jumbo variety instead of super. I'm telling you this partially because it's kind of interesting, but also because it's important context for the dex entries I want to discuss. First, medium variety Pumpkaboo ZA entry says, it was recently discovered that the different varieties of Pumpkaboo vary not only in size, but also in the size of the souls they collect. This dex entry is explicitly stating something that was made pretty clear in the Sword and Shield dex entries. For example, Pumpkaboo's small size sword entry says, when taking spirits to the afterlife, small Pumpkaboo prefer the spirits of children to those of adults. That is sad and upsetting, and also stupid. I believe children have the biggest spirits of us all. But anyways, while small takes kid spirits and large takes adults, average/medium never specifies. So I guess teenagers. So what does that leave super/jumbo? In Sword, it says supersized Pumpkaboo are very partial to the spirits of people who were of similarly superior proportions. Oh, okay. But then we move to ZA, where it basically says the same thing, but words it differently. In keeping with the size of its body, this variety of Pumpkaboo takes jumbo spirits to the afterlife. This is a less delicate way of putting this, because yeah, while it never specifies the size of the person's body, Sword already did, which means that this game is straight up calling people jumbo. Mega Phalanx's dex entry says, Mega Phalanx has taken on the ultimate battle formation, which can be achieved only if the troopers and brass have the strongest of bonds. First off, greatest Mega Evolution ever made. Secondly, this Mega needs so many bonds to work. Like, there's the trainer with the Pokemon, but the Pokemon is 6 little guys. So it's like, is that one bond with each individual trooper and then the brass? But now also the troopers have to bond with the brass each individually. Like, oh my God, that had to have required so many team building events. I can't imagine how many ropes courses they had to do. Mega Chestnut's dex entry says, it has fortified armor and a will to defend at all costs. Both are absurdly strong. That is so badass. If only I could have used it! Mega Drampaw's dex entry reads, Drampaw's cells have been invigorated, allowing it to regain its youth. It manipulates the atmosphere to summon storms. Hold on. Okay, obviously Drampaw are inspired by elderly people. Its name rhymes with grandpa. But Not all Drampa are old. Like, maybe that would work if they were this ancient species that never died but could not reproduce. But they can reproduce. There's both male Drampa and female Drampa, and it's in 2 egg groups. So you could hatch a Drampa in another game, bring it into ZA immediately once home is connected, and then mega evolve it. So a Drampa that is minutes old would regain its youth. And yet that still makes more sense than the charcoal thing. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to see me talk about the crazy dex entries from the last Pokemon game, Scarlet and Violet, you can check that out right here.